I've had this wood thing forever. I'm assuming maybe it was a bread box or one of those footstools that were around way back in, say, like the 80s with little cushion covers that you would put at your living room couch and then you stored stuff in. Either way, it's time to give it a makeover because I've had it probably 15, 20 years. And I'm going to bust out my orbital sander here because you can see it was a little bit rough shape. And I'm also going to fill in where the screw holes that you've seen there and some of the bigger divots in the wood. I fill in with this Bondo. I would have used my wood filler, but of course it dried out and I had to throw it away, which kind of sucked because it was an almost full container. This Bondo, you're going to have to work with a little bit quickly because it does harden fast. That's partly also why I like it, because it does harden fast and you don't have to wait forever for it to dry. I also will go ahead and sand it off. I don't show me sanding again. And also, if you were to do this with a white or some other light color, you really should prime it or put some sort of shellac on it because you will have some bleed through from the tannins of the wood because it was sanded down. I didn't put any on here because we're going to do a rustic look. And I'm using some chalk paint. So even if we get a little bit of a bleed through, it's going to match the aesthetic of the look I'm going for. But if you don't want any bleed through, definitely put some sort of shellac primer, Zinsser bins, or even like say Rust-Oleum clear gloss spray paint would work in this aspect as well. I already painted the inside black. It was off camera. And I'm not showing me painting the whole thing. This is also my own homemade chalk paint using latex, and I used a chalk powder to mix it. I'll have it linked in the description. You will also see towards the end of the video, you saw a little bit more white in there. I did a little bit more brushing with the black because it was just too white, and it was a little awkward trying to get in there, so I got a couple blobs, so I had to fix those blobs. And here's me trying to smooth out this stencil without having my big head in the camera, so I can see if it was centered. I got this stencil from Amazon. I'll link that in the description as well. And this is my own homemade chalk paste. I made it with caulk and some paint. It worked really, really good. I'm going to have a video out because I experimented with a bunch of stuff to make my own paste instead of always having to buy it to make my own colors because I have plenty of paint. It's so satisfying peeling this off and it's so crispy. I'm just not a huge fan of using vinyl. I'm glad I have a Joy, but I don't love it. To me, the vinyl is just a pain in the butt to use and more time consuming. I'm really digging the stencils. Total fan. You have to try it if you haven't tried it yet. This stencil I bought at Michael's, I think, years ago. Maybe Hobby Lobby. And it's not a stick or screen stencil, but this paste worked really well, even with the regular stencils. I've tested it out. You'll see in my video on how much testing I did and how many stencils I tried. And it worked really good. I lined the inside of this with Dollar Tree's contact paper. This was a little finicky trying to cut it and put it on the inside here, but it worked great and it matched. Here I'm going to try to show it to you a little bit and do the light because I'm working with one side of window where I film. So I'm trying to show you. And I do a little like dry brushing because I thought the black was just a little too stark. So I did a dry brush and a rub back of some white paint. I did it on all of them, as you can see I'm doing here. And then after this, I'm going to go ahead and seal it with Dixie Belle's Big Mama's Butter Wax. This stuff smells so good. It smells like citruses. It's great for using on old furniture, for dresser drawer rails and things that are stuck. And just, you know, the furniture that has that old style smell, this stuff works great. All right, we're wrapping this up and I'm going to go on to some pictures. I hope you enjoyed this flip and it inspires you to flip something yourself.